Greetings everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. We're back again with more Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. This time, Owlcat has released a new patch. This one is actually pretty meaty. A lot of cool things that they've done. Really can't wait to go through the list. But before we do that, want to let you know they have released a beta for this patch. But there are several known issues with the beta. So I'm going to go through that list beforehand so that you can make a decision about whether or not you want to even join in for this beta. The beta version doesn't include some free DLC functionality and pre-order items. It's currently not available on macOS. When creating a new character in the beta, the character's model is missing at this time. And after entering some locations in Dresden with your skeletal champion, which you would have if you went with the Lich Mythic path, you will not be able to exit those locations. A fix for this particular issue is coming soon, but it doesn't say that for the other issues, so I think you should expect if you decide to switch over to the beta, those are things you might have to deal with until the full patch version comes out. Also, Owlcat notes, and I think it's very good advice, make sure you back up your saves before you participate in the beta, because the saves you make in version 1.2 may not be compatible with version 1.1. All right, and with that, let's go ahead and get into what Owlcat has actually done for this patch. So I'm going to start with the high level stuff that I felt like was really cool, and then we'll get into some other stuff that I felt like was pretty nice and fits into specific categories. More voice party banner has been added regarding things like romances, birthdays, and some other categories that Owlcat previously did not have voice acting for. I'm not completely sure which points in the game now have voice acting that didn't before, so really looking forward to my next playthrough where I can hopefully catch some of the areas where they've made updates. Using scrolls for spells you have in your spellbook won't require use magic device. Very interesting. I know many of you are probably happy to hear that. Aivu, who is a dragon companion that you get if you choose the Azada mythic path, now has its caster level capped at 20. Also, Aivu has a breath weapon whose damage has been reduced. To offset these changes, Owlcat now allows you to put barding items on Aivu. Also, Aivu's frightful presence is now a toggle as opposed to something that stays on all the time. I haven't played through Azada yet, so I don't know really how I feel about the change regarding frightful presence, breath weapon. So for those of you who have played through Azada, let me know down in the comments, did you feel like she was overpowered and maybe this is good normalizing, or you feel like this is Owlcat meddling with things that didn't need to be meddled with? Enduring spells and greater enduring spells, which are mythic abilities that allow you to significantly extend the amount of time buffs will be up for your party. Now they only work with spells you have memorized, not spells you have cast from scrolls and items. So it used to be if you had enduring spells and greater enduring spells, let's say like you're a really maxed out lich, which means you could get haste for 24 hours as opposed to the usual, 3-4 minutes max. Well, beforehand, you could use a scroll or a potion, and then you would get haste for 24 hours for the entire party. Looks like now you would actually have to assign it to the spell list for your lich in order to be able to use something like that. Aeon's Enforcing Gaze has been changed to provide more options to choose from. I do not have an Aeon in my save list, so I do not know what specific options have been added, but a couple of people have commented on my videos for today saying that it's actually a significant expansion of the list. I would definitely appreciate it if there's anybody who has an Aeon that is on this video, if you could go ahead and comment down below and let us know what's been added there. It's going to be a minute before I'm finally able to get to that mythic path. Swarm clones will now start at 8th Mythic rank, and the max has been increased to 5. So it used to be you wouldn't even get access to Swarm clones until Mythic level 10. So basically you had to go through the whole entire game completely by yourself, and then finally at Mythic level 10, you might get like 4 or 5 clones all surrounding you. And so now they've made it so, and I think this makes significantly more sense, you get these clones at Mythic level 8, and the max level has been increased. That makes, I wish almost that I had waited to play Swarm until this had been updated. That is a great quality of life change for that Mythic path. Chloromancer Commanding Infusion has been fixed. So Commanding Infusion is basically an ability that class has where they can add +4 to some major attribute stats for skeletons that you summon. Looks like it hasn't been working, which is pretty irritating for me because I've been using that plenty during my Lich playthrough and was very disappointed by the performance of my skeletons, and now apparently it's because the freaking thing wasn't working, but I digress. Remove Fear no longer provides immunity to fear. So if you read Remove Fear, it tells you that it increases the saves for fear, but it's not supposed to make you literally immune to it, which I definitely feel like it was doing, because once I used that, it seemed like I didn't have to worry about fear anymore. And so it looks like that's been fixed. Clasp of Death is now a robe instead of a belt. Clasp of Death is an item that you can potentially get at the end of your Lich transformation, depending upon decisions that you've made throughout the game. I personally don't like this change because robes are one of the few types of items in the game that you can use to increase the DC of your spells. And Clasp of Death does not increase the DC of your necromancy spells, as far as I remember. So I feel like now it's a crazy powerful item. You would definitely want to use it, but it's almost like you would have to accept less DC in order to be able to do so. So me personally, I'm not a fan of this change. If anything, I feel like they should make it a headband, because a lot of the stats that you get really would be associated with the headband that you were probably already using. The Masterful Dispel achievement should work properly now. So there's a character that you can meet in Act 5 where you could get an achievement if you're able to successfully dispel all the effects on that particular character. That achievement has never worked. I've tried it virtually every single time I went through a playthrough and got into that character just to see if it will pop. So hopefully now it's actually working properly. The Area of Effect after facing Darazan and Baphomet are now dispelled. So for both of those demons, it was a possibility you could have a fire effect that will continue to burn through your entire party even if you had actually won the battle. And it could actually be a very difficult issue to deal with. It could potentially cause you to go ahead and just try to replay the fight because it had turned through so much of your health that it wasn't worth what you had to sacrifice. So I'm actually glad that they decided to do this. Angel Fire Apostle and Face Speaker can merge their spellbooks with Angel. So when you pick a mythic path, there are some mythic paths that can merge their spellbook with the class that you are, depending on what class that you picked. I believe upon release of the game, Angel could combine its spellbook with most of the clerics and most of the oracles. And so now they've just added 2 additional classes where if you pick them, you could merge their spellbooks with Angel, which allows you to gain magic levels significantly faster than you would be able to if you just kept the spellbook separate. If you are able to read the full Lexicon of Paradox in Act 4, it will provide bonuses to your character and give you additional dialogue options in the beginning of Act 5. In the final dialogue of the game, now only the player can roll for checks. Party members will not be able to roll for checks during that dialogue. Okay, so I think that's the full list of the ones that I felt like were really, really major that I wanted to make sure you all heard about. Now we're gonna go through some general ones that I felt like were pretty cool and some of you might be interested in. Angel Fire Apostle can get access to level 10 angel spells. I felt like this was important to note because I've heard some people say that depending upon what class they merge the Lich spellbook with, they're not getting their level 10 spells. So it seems like even if you merge, you don't necessarily get access to that level. So because of that, I felt like it was worth noting that not only does Angel Fire now have the ability to combine spellbooks, but also they will be able to get the full roster of angel spells available to them. Break Enchantment can now remove petrification. Doomed to Servitude no longer works on undead. Doomed to Servitude is the ultimate Lich power for making your enemies turn into your undead slaves that follow you around everywhere. So previously it worked on undead creatures, now it or at least according to this, it doesn't. Dragonkind 2 will no longer transform you into a red dragon if you had a gold dragon background. If you become the swarm that walks, the quartermaster in Dresden will leave. Previously, he and a bunch of other people would stay. And now there's some other miscellaneous things that they've updated. Mythic Aeon full transformation visuals have been changed. Like I said, I don't have a Aeon character, so I can't tell you in what specific way the transformation has changed. So if somebody can comment down below and say if they feel like it looks better, we'd definitely appreciate it. Wings of Mythic Commanders have been fixed. The Fearless Flirt quest with Owlcat now works properly. I felt like this was worth noting because that's a quest in Act 4 that I think was part of the Kickstarter, where some people were able to make their own quest, and so it seems like it's always been broken. I've never been able to. This is actually the first time I've ever seen a quest name associated with talking to this character. It seemed like just a couple of conversations you would have and then nothing came of it. And so now it seems like they're saying that broken quest has been fixed and you should be able to go through a quest line with this particular character. Soseo plays cards in the Dresden Cemetery more often. So there's a quest in Act 3 about talking with Soseo while he's playing cards, and it was very irritating to be able to complete because you had to just magically come to Dresden during a time when he was actually in the cemetery playing. So it looks like they bumped up how often he is going to be in the cemetery. And then finally, a personal chest has been added to the Act 6 camp. So of course you had your own personal chest in Dresden, and now whatever camp area you're in Act 6, you'll now have your personal chest available to you in case there are some special items you want to switch out. That ends the list of things that I felt like were really, really important that a lot of you will want to know. This is not even close to the full list of changes that are in this patch, so I highly recommend that you look at the patch notes for yourself. I will leave the link down below for you, and I think it's exciting. I really appreciate the way that Owlcat continues to support the game, not only through these patches, but also through the DLC that they've already announced that I'm very, very excited for. And I think that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to say regarding the patch notes. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like down below, share this content, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.